Vance makes America look like Nazis in Munich. Because nothing says defender of democracy like cozying up to the far right, Vice President JD Vance graced Munich with his presence on Friday to meet Alice Weidel, co-leader of Germany's far-right anti-immigrant Alternative for Germany, AfD party. Bold move, considering we're just 9 days out from Germany's election. But hey, who better to lecture European leaders on democracy than Vance, a man who clearly thinks shaking hands with extremist politicians is the pinnacle of diplomatic genius? For those unfamiliar, mainstream German parties have vowed to never collaborate with AfD, a pledge known as the firewall. But Vance, ever the beacon of democratic wisdom, dismissed that idea, because why not throw 20th century history out the window? AfD, currently polling around 20% ahead of the February 23rd election, must have been thrilled with Vance's stamp of approval. Unsurprisingly, top German officials were less than amused. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius slammed Vance's remarks, calling his comparisons between European democracies and authoritarian regimes unacceptable. Chancellor Olaf Scholz also defended Germany's firewall against extremism. But Vance, channeling his inner free speech warrior, claimed that Europe is drowning in Soviet-era censorship. Ah yes, because protecting democracy from far-right extremism is exactly like Stalinist repression. Brilliant analysis, Vance. Too many of us on the other side of the Atlantic, Vance opined. It looks like old entrenched interests hiding behind scary words like misinformation, just because they don't like alternative opinions or, heaven forbid, different election results. Yes, thank goodness Vance is here to save Europeans from themselves by echoing the exact rhetoric extremists adore. Pistorius, clearly not having it, fired back. If I understood him correctly, he's comparing Europe to authoritarian regimes. That is unacceptable, and it is not the democracy I live in. But hey, why should Vance care? After all, what do European leaders know about European democracy? Vance also lectured European officials that if they're afraid of their own voters, there's nothing the United States can do for them. Though given his choice of company, one might wonder which voters he's so keen to impress. According to him, democracy means no firewalls, because apparently protecting your democracy from extremists is just so passé. Pistorius countered that, shockingly, democracy allows all opinions, even those of extremist parties like AfD. But he pointed out that letting extremists speak doesn't mean they're right, a concept Vance seems to have conveniently skipped over while busy playing diplomat with the far right. Chancellor Scholz made his position clear, posting on X that Germany's firewall against right-wing extremism is rooted in the painful lessons of Nazism. But sure, Vance knows better. After all, who needs history when you have sound bites? Bavarian Governor Markus Söder added that while all opinions are taken seriously, Germans will decide who they work with. A subtle yet pointed reminder that Germany isn't exactly eager to follow Vance's stellar example. Meanwhile, Weidel, basking in the glow of Vance's endorsement, posted, "Excellent speech! There's no room for firewalls, because if there's one thing we all need, it's far-right politicians cheering on an American vice president." Vance's meeting with Weidel followed her visit to Hungary's right-wing nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orban, another shining example of democracy, of course. Vance's office noted that he also met with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier and opposition leader Friedrich Merz, along with Chancellor Scholz earlier in the week. But let's be honest, the Weidel meeting is the one that really grabbed attention. Adding to the international eye roll, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre critiqued Vance's pearl-clutching over European immigration policies. Vance warned against floodgates of unvetted immigrants, seemingly forgetting that Europe's current migrant surge is largely due to Czechs' notes a war in Ukraine. But why let inconvenient facts get in the way of a good fear-mongering session? So there you have it. Vice President JD Vance, democracy's self-appointed savior, making America look just a little more like the 1930s. Great job, Vance. Will you be the voice that saves America? Call your senators and congressmen, just search Google. Let your opinion be heard and stand up. Fight back because democracy has to survive.